Are you someone who has been in therapy before and noticed that you haven't made the progress you wanted? Or are you in therapy now, but despite all the processing and all the talking you're doing about your life or about your past trauma, you find that you aren't moving ahead and making the progress that you want? If that's you, I would encourage you to look at another angle that you might not be currently focused on. And that is your consumption from unhealthy sources of dopamine. This would be things like endless scrolling or endless screen watching, whether it's social media or videos or gaming or pornography, or maybe it's even overeating or online gambling. If you find that you're constantly wrapped up in some sort of screen or some sort of energy source that you haven't worked for, you feel happy but you haven't worked for it, that's an unhealthy source of dopamine. And the way that your brain might be using this is every time you feel bored or sad or lonely or just have some free time and just feeling a little bit of underlying restlessness, you go straight off to that device and use that as a mechanism to soothe you and to give you dopamine, to give you feel-good chemicals that you haven't worked for. And what's happening then is that you're not having the ability to grow and mature and evolve emotionally because your development is arrested. Because every time life gives you a lesson to learn from that pain, from that discomfort, from that restlessness that you might be feeling, you're not learning anything because you're immediately soothing it with a readily available source of dopamine that we never had so available before in history. So if that's happening to you, you might notice that despite all the work that you're doing in therapy or in other aspects of your life, you're not making progress because you're stuck, because your mind is foggy, because you're not able to be focused, because you're addicted to these dopamine sources. So if this feels like it fits you or somewhat fits you, I want you to ask yourself this question. Do I want to remain a slave to my screen or to my unhealthy dopamine devices for the rest of my life? And if the answer is no, that's where it gets interesting, because right now your screen may be controlling you, or your vice may be controlling you. And the question is, how can you get back your control? And so that gets really interesting. And start asking yourself, what would it take for me to be able to engage powerfully and mindfully with my screen or with my sources of dopamine in my life without being a slave to it, but rather engaging with them powerfully? And for some of you, that might mean to stop entirely for a period of time. For some of you, that might mean to decide which ones you want to use and which ones you don't. For some of you, it might mean a dopamine fast, which is a period of time where you go off of everything and then come back and engage mindfully. This is something for you to look at and work through. So let me know in the comments if you feel like you might be this person who can use that break, and if you've been trying to get away from it but you can't and need extra help to do so.